Nostradamus' visions of the future of his homeland have been described as being uncanny. He is said to have heard the thundering footsteps of Napoleon's troops and to have seen the cost and human lives of Napoleon's adventures. In quatrain after quatrain, he's described the coming of three powerful and tyrannical leaders, men he called antichrists. He wrote that these men would lead their people through reigns of terror after first seducing them with promises of greatness. Napoleon is said to have been the first of the three.
An emperor will be born near Italy, one who will cost his empire quite a high price. They will say that even among his supporters, he will be found less prince than butcher.
Napoleon, who was an emperor, not a king of France, was born near Italy on the island of Corsica. It was an unheard of place for a French ruler to be born. And even in his own time, Napoleon was seen as both prince and butcher.
From a simple soldier, he will attain to empire. From a short robe, he will attain the long. Great swarms of bees will arise.
Short robes to long robes, soldier to emperor. Napoleon adopted the beehive as his imperial crest.
For 14 years he will hold the tyranny.
Napoleon's reign of war and terror, from the time he first seized power on November 9th, 1799, to his exile in Elba on April 13th, 1814, was 14 years and 5 months.
Of a name never before held by a French king, there comes such a fearful thunderbolt. Italy, Spain, and England tremble. Of a name never before held by a French king.
Napoleon Bonaparte is indeed a name never before or since held by a French king.
A great troop shall come through Russia. The destroyer shall ruin a city.
Napoleon, whose name in Greek means the new destroyer, invaded Russia in 1812. His troops sacked and burned Moscow.
The rear guard will make defense. The exhausted ones will die in the White Territory.
Here Nostradamus suggests that the Russian people would at last rise up and turn back the French invaders. He seems to have captured the image of Napoleon's retreat across the icy steppes of Russia 250 years before it happened. Napoleon had overextended his forces. His army was trapped over 3,000 miles from their home base in France. He was as much beaten by the Russian winter as he was by the Russian army.
The French will come to dread the time of the north winds, their forces having driven too far.
Students of the quatrains find Nostradamus' predictions about this first Antichrist, the man they are certain is Napoleon, to be his most extraordinary. They point to a verse they say tells of Napoleon's defeat and exile to the small island of Elba.
The great empire will soon be exchanged for a small place in which he will come to lay down his scepter. A small place of tiny area, it will soon begin to grow.
Here, experts say, Nostradamus is alluding to Napoleon's escape from Elba. It was a daring attempt to regain power.
The captive escaping great dangers, his fortunes greatly change.
Successful, Napoleon began what was to become known as the 100 Days, which would reach a climax on June 18th, 1815, on a battlefield in Belgium. Waterloo, in the third month of Napoleon's second reign.
In the third month at sunrise, the boar and the leopard meet on the battlefield.
Napoleon's enemy was the Duke of Wellington, the man he called the Leopard of England.
The boar and the leopard meet on the battlefield.
Day from sunrise to evening, Napoleon's troops assaulted the English. But it was the French flank that broke first. Wellington, the Leopard, could now take hope.
The fatigued leopard looks up to the heavens. An eagle soars to the sun. The chief adversary will win the victory.
The chief adversary, Wellington. The loser, as Nostradamus may have predicted 250 years before, Napoleon.
Neither bugles nor shouts will stop the soldiers. Liberty and peace achieved only through time and death.
Incredible. Yes. But there's more, much more. Visions of war, bloodshed, and death. Visions of the future that are often bleak and terrifying. Visions that tormented Nostradamus, who was, after all, a man of peace, a man who was a physician, a healer, before he was a prophet. Visions that he hoped would cause his fellow countrymen to take a long look at the destiny of France, to wonder about it, to think about changing it. And yet, not all of his visions were of events to happen in his homeland.